And for the final topic of this episode 69, the greatest episode because we introduced a new segment, not because of the number, is our top 5 favorite board game. I copied and pasted all this stuff. I totally forgot to change it. It's our top 5 board game pet peeves. I had our last episode one that says top 5 favorite board game expansions. We did that last episode, so if you're interested, check out episode 68. But no, top 5 board game pet peeves.
Hopefully I kind of did this right because you can do it as pet peeves as in maybe other player interactions.
No.
But you're talking about board game components or whatnot.
Right. Rules, components, things that they might have that you just don't. Yeah. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I did too. The only thing I will say is I actually don't know if this is a top 5 for me. I don't know if they're actually in the right order.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
They're kind of all up there, you know.
Well, there's probably some we're forgetting about too, or
I bet.
Yeah. I just think that pet peeves in general, as far as board games can be concerned, they have to be so minute. I mean, is there really anything that you're gonna flip the table over when somebody busts it out and it's like, what?
I mean, there is some of them that you can be like, I'm not gonna get that game because I hate when they do this. Sure.
I don't know if there's any of those that I would.
I mean, maybe not for yourself.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Right. I guess. All right. So, Matt, who wants to start? You want to start, Matt?
All right, I'll start.
Number 5.
My number 5, and this is kind of a weird one, especially whenever I say it, but it's not really that I mind modular boards, but I have an OCD problem, and they won't stay together.
If they don't have a locking mechanism?
Yeah, if they don't lock together. So, like Takanoko, which I love. But they always slide around your Mage Knight game. Catan sometimes because the board will kind of bend up and stuff.
I don't even know if Catan is manufactured at all to fit together.
Right. So it's just the issues that come with modular boards. I tend to love the kind of games because they're usually like exploring games or something like that.
Yeah.
The new Fallout game is the same way, but it's just the OCD in me is just
they don't line up exactly right and stay.
They just won't stay right. It's like just stay in your place. So my number 5 was modular boards.
Cool. Number 5 for me is bad score tracks or badly designed or bad. So there is a couple games such as Jiraku, and there was another one that I can't think of right now, but
just score tracks.
Just badly designed score tracks where they might
Jiraku
wind around or they they don't have the numbers on each spot is really dim, or not dim but light that you can't hardly make it out. So just bad score tracks. Design it better.
Yeah,
it's a pretty better, This is a pretty easy concept. So I don't know why some games fail at it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
That's a good one.
My number 5, I generically put similar colors, and I mean that in a couple of different ways. One, Monuments has a bad. It's like there's 14 different color cards that you play with, and there's like 3 shades of each color. No, stop it. That is garbage. Don't have a light green, a green, and a dark green as color choices. On top of that, I don't like games where it's like clearly red, blue, green, and yellow as the player colors, and like all the resources and spaces on the boards are red, blue, green, and yellow.
Right.
That is instantly confusing, and it is not fun to play with. I mean, depending on the game, you can easily overcome it, but some of the games are like, what? It's like, I kind of want to go for the blue pieces because I'm blue, but it just doesn't make any sense. But so similar colors. I like the player colors to be different than anything else in the game. And I like the things in the game to be clearly defined visually rather than words. If that makes sense. Like I find that looking down, if I see a symbol of a sword, shield, a staff, and a bow, it's going to be much easier for me to see red, blue, green, yellow. That's personal. But some people might say, I like seeing the swords and the shields.
Yeah.
So anyway, similar colors. Stop it. No.
My number 4,
or be aware of it. And for colorblind people,
sure,
I'm sure that's even worse.
Exactly.
This is a super general, but bad art on games, and I guess the main reason is just because this day and age,
Old Mayfair,
Ascension.
Yeah,
Such a-
there's all kinds of stuff, and artwork won't make me like a bad game just because it has good artwork, and good artwork will generally not kill a good game for me. But I just think in the computer age we're in and the skill of artists these days, and who's making these decisions to let some of these people draw on some of these games, it's awful sometimes. So
That's fair.
Sometimes I think it's family members or
it has to be,
or, yeah.
buddies or something,
or buddies, right? It's like, yeah, buddy, you
or
know.
you owe someone a favor, or just something.
I got an
Get you
interesting
some
thing
work.
for you, Matt. Here we go. Would you rather have a game that has very consistent artwork, even if it's bad, or a game that has great artwork but it's not consistent, so certain cards are bad? You know what I mean? Like Dixit, for instance. It's not Dixit has great art, but say Dixit had like randomly some cards that was drawn by the guy from Ascension. Sorry, dude. But like, you know what I mean? Like every once in a while, you're like, oh, this card sucks. And then his stuff isn't like absolutely horrible. I don't feel like he's as bad as most people online give him.
It would stand out pretty awful, though.
So would you rather have a game that didn't have good artwork all the way through, or a game that had good artwork but a lot of bad artwork as well?
Actually,
like
I think I'd rather have bad artwork all the way through. Oddly enough, that's really weird.
But yeah, it's so like, I mean, it comes down to that OCD type of thing.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, what? It's like the World of Warcraft card game and stuff.
Yeah.
you play it, it's like awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually a good example because I know I remember this guy's name. His name was Raymond Swanland. He does stuff for Magic the Gathering too, but his stuff was always super like computer graphics and everything. And then like you'd get this person that looked like they used a crown to draw a dwarf or something.
Yeah,
So-
they knew this card was gonna be bad, so they budget this one out.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. The complete different styles in any kind of CCG. So
Yeah, but then you play like a Mayfair game, and it's like, even though we make fun of Mayfair's art, like I feel like it's tolerable because it's all consistent.
because it's on everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just it's Mayfair.
Yeah. So that's interesting to know. All right, Eric, what's your number 4?
Number 4 for me is kind of similar to yours, making components too similar. Also making sizes too similar. And that goes to something like Voyages of Marco Polo, where they have eight,
Was it the gold bars?
it was
all
like
of
gold
them.
bar. It was like a small camel and a big camel. That's worth 1 and 5. But if you just had one of them, it's kind of hard to tell them apart. Side by side, you can tell them apart, but
Yes.
they're a
Barely.
little bit smaller or bigger. So
Here's what I don't understand about that. Gold, or maybe it was the wood. It's like a stack of 3. The 5 one is like a bigger stack of 3.
yeah,
It's like they took the same image, blew it up a little bit, and then printed that.
like
And-
10% bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe make it like it's a gold bar and a pile of gold bars.
Right.
Or a pile of wood, single stick. Like, visually, that makes more sense. I agree. That is super annoying.
Right.
Thankfully, I don't feel like it's that prevalent.
No, it's not super common, but it does still happen.
Yes. My number 4 is wooden dice. I absolutely hate wooden dice.
Wooden
I
dice?
actually do not like wooden dice as well.
Yeah. Do not like them.
Not a pet peeve, but I don't prefer them.
Like, it's tolerable in a game where there's one 6-sided wooden die, whatever. Why was it that much cheaper to include one
It was
die?
probably more expensive.
Yeah, right. I like plastic or like the whatever it's made out of, the normal dice, the
Yeah.
plasticky type of dice, like standard dice are.
Right.
I don't. As a matter of fact, I could probably extend this to like I don't like light dice either. Like if it's like a plastic, it's hollow.
Oh, uh-huh.
Like I don't like that stuff. I'm pretty particular with dice, but I do not like wooden dice. Yeah, that's pretty much my number.
They
4.
tend to be light too. So
They tend to be light, which is probably why I don't like them as well.
number 3.
Yep.
My number 3 is sometimes these tiebreakers just kill me for ending a game, especially the play it agains or just the ridiculous ones. I'm sure somewhere in the game we have built up some kind of pile of something that we can base a
Tiebreaker
decent tiebreaker off of.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty short and sweet though, but tiebreakers.
Fair enough.
Number 3 for me is what I would call incomplete games. It's a game that comes out and you could see that they took out a part of the game because they wanted to make
Make
that
an
an expansion
expansion.
out of it. So it's like
like there's a spot on the board that you're like,
or yeah, it's that. Yeah, this don't worry about this section of the board or these symbols. That's an expansion.
well, I didn't ever thought about that, but yeah, that's pretty
Or
annoying.
King of Tokyo, I'm looking at you. You know, you have all these different monsters, but they don't really, do anything different. I bet that was all kind of, thought out
Because they were
ahead
gonna-
of time.
yeah.
And they was like, oh, we'll just make that a little small box expansion.
It's even worse when it's like, look at the
Like on the
card.
board.
Don't ignore if it
this
has this
symbol.
green symbol in the corner.
Yeah,
Because that's a reference to the expansion.
right. It's
Like,
like,
really?
if you thought about it ahead of time, just come out with the complete game that you originally thought of and not come out with something that's, missing a dynamic of a game.
Yeah. No, I totally on board with that. My number 3 is zigzagging score tracks.
Oh,
We're just
yes.
going to it. Yeah.
Oh,
That's the best way to describe it. Zigzag. Like if
It's like a trail that
Jiraku
just-
is the most horrible example of this.
right.
Which in my review of the game on the Dice Tower, I clearly stated how you could fix it, right? It's like it goes 1 to 5 left to right, I think, and then from top to bottom it's like 10 or 15 like numbers. Just go from top to bottom. Basically, as you're moving the cube, it should travel the farthest distance before having to change tracks. It would be like if you had a column, a 2 by 20 column, 2 across, 20 down, and you had to go right, down, left, down, right, down, left, down. Why? That's pointless. But anyway, the reason I said I would fix it in Jiraku is because you could do top right to bottom right, and then next one top down going to the left, because that's how Japanese write.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why that wasn't. That would have been awesome and thematic.
Yeah.
Anyway, zigzag crappy score tracks.
We on 2?
Yes.
Yep.
We are on 2. I know sometimes it's necessary, I guess, for gameplay, but I really don't like player elimination. Especially, I don't know,
I
sometimes
feel you there.
people are sitting there just staring at the rest of the players. It's actually, whenever we're talking about catching guns, that's one thing I don't like about it is
Yeah.
the player elimination. Like catching guns seemed like it was always a lot of fun at the beginning, but as the game goes on, it kind of gets a little bit more boring because more people are coming out and everything. And I just know there's other games that and sometimes you'll be sitting there for a while. So player elimination.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yep. I'm not a big fan of it either.
No,
I think
definitely
that
not.
certain games,
Like even
need
if it can keep you in the game, but you're not affecting the game that much, at least make you feel like you're involved. I know we play games like that, and I just can't think
first
of them.
one's out, they get this Meeple, and they're the ghost that does something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of Ghost
or whatever
that we did on a game, but
yeah, the only problem with that is it becomes like a kingmaker situation, because if you still can't win as the ghost, then all you're doing is influencing who could
well, that's
win.
what I was saying. You can't affect that much to where it,
Yeah.
you're just kind of like participating still.
Yeah, you still lost.
Yeah. I'd rather be like something like Evermore or Nevermore, where even though you're dead, you basically have a really tough chance at winning.
Of coming back,
You could still win.
still win.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're still playing the game because you need to play it normally to try to get to the winning position. It's just harder for you at that point.
Mhm.
Right. There you go. Number 2 for me is boxes that are too big.
I thought
Yeah, I got limited space on my
What?
shelves. Yeah. When the boxes are big, they take up more space than needed, such as Splendor. You can actually put Splendor in a fourth of the box. So,
Ironically, the short list item I was going to put is boxes that are too small,
yeah, I don't like those either.
because I'd rather have a box that's slightly bigger than what I need than a box that's small. Like all the AEG games that come in that standard card size box, you can't sleeve any of them because they won't fit in the box.
Right.
Splendor, I could sleeve everything and throw the insert away. So I'd rather it be slightly bigger. It sucks
I
that
agree
you take
with you.
up more space.
I'd rather be a little bit bigger than smaller than needs to be.
Maybe yours should be box sizes, and then because it's kind of annoying in both ways.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't
Yeah.
want a box that's like massive,
Right.
but I don't like it when it's
Unless, possibly if they're going to come out with expansions and I guess, going back to knowing the expansions are going to be out, sometimes that's the case. You get a box that's a little bigger because it gives room to add those expansions.
right. Yep. box sizes.
Yep.
I agree. That's a short list item for me. Does that bother you, Matt?
I actually thought of this. Yes.
Okay. My number 2 is kind of what Matt said. I put shared victories and tiebreakers because it kind of correlates, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you win the game, you tiebreak, or you win the game with somebody, or the game ends, you have the same amount of victory points. Let's go to a tiebreaker. And then usually it's either shared victory or one tiebreaker and then shared victory.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like shared victories. If it's a co-op game or something, or semi-co-op, then fine. But if it's a game where you're trying to clearly be the best player, strategically,
someone's a little bit better.
Somebody should be a little bit better in some way. And if you don't know how to evaluate that, that might have been a problem with your design. I mean, some games, I get it. There's really no tiebreaker, you know, but I don't know. I really like clear victors. And so shared victories just bothers me. Did you have a honorable mention, Matt?
Yes, I did.
All right, let's do it.
My honorable mention is because I didn't put it on the pet peeve just because it's not awful, but I just don't understand it. But I don't like it when it's screen printed dice. I want some.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I want some indents in there. I want it to be like a real die. Unless I guess if they're using some crazy iconography,
like Destiny.
Well, Destiny's is different. It's heat transferred.
Okay, it's not
and lacquered and all that stuff.
Right.
So
it's not going to wear off like a screen printed one.
When you're talking specifically ones that can rub off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree with that. I feel like the only reason it's prevalent in some way is because I think it is a cheap method to put anything other than indented printing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. If they're using some crazy image, I get why they're not going to try and indent that.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes you see like just some really basic stuff.
Oh, screen printed the numbers.
Yeah.
Like really. Yeah.
Cool. Honorable mention for me. Not supplying enough components. So there's some games that are like, these aren't limited, and if you run out, just use another item, pennies or something else. It's like, give us like 5 more wood or whatever. Or such as Agricola, they supply you with cardboard bits that are like, this cardboard bit is worth 5 wood or 10 wood. At least do something like that if you're not going to give us enough components for,
I like the ones that have like a ×5 component that's blank.
Oh.
And then you just sit the component on there.
Right.
So it's like, this one's worth 5.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have like a specific.
Acceptable. I mean, it's not the most desirable, but it's better than not supplying enough components.
Agreed. I totally agree with this. My honorable mention is something that is easily mitigated, and I mitigate it all the time, but it still annoys me, is when they cut cards, usually cheap cards, where the cut is face up when you're shuffling it.
Yeah.
So when you shuffle it, you can't grip the curve of the cut because it's going up rather than down.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't grab your fingers. And so you start getting like chunks of cards shuffling rather than like a perfect shuffle. Really good card qualities. You're not going to run into this.
Right.
But the reason it's an honorable mention is because I see it. It's annoying the first time we play it because I don't sleeve a game beforehand. But if I like the game, I'll sleeve it, and then I'll never have to worry about it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's more of an honorable mention, just because I mitigate across it really easily. But it is still really annoying to take a deck of cards and be like, instead of, it's like,
right.
Oh, it's so annoying. Hopefully I'll describe that very well with my sound effects.
Yes. Number 1.
My number 1, subjective scoring. Apples to apples.
Oh, yes.
Snake oil.
Yours was a little bit better.
I don't. Yeah.
The games that Tim makes us play.
Yes, I do. Yeah, the games that Tim makes us play on the podcast.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that kind of scoring. There's nothing else I can say about that. It's just I hate it. I loathe games like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind playing them. I just don't score them.
That's fair.
Just play it.
It's
and
an
leave
activity
it
at this point.
Yes, exactly.
No, that's fair. I kind of agree with that. That's kind of annoying.
I agree on that. Number 1 for me, Tim took my thunder a little bit, but it's boxes that are too small or inserts.
That's why he said boxes that are too big.
Yeah. Boxes that are too small, or even inserts that are too small. They don't give you enough room to, give us, 2 more millimeters. So if we wanted to sleeve the cards, they'll fit, or make the box, a couple more millimeters bigger so that, we can sleeve the cards, or put the components away in a better fashion. Actually, rock paper scissors, rock paper wizard.
Yes.
Yeah, said that right.
Yeah.
It comes in a really small box, which is good because it's in a small box, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. But in that game, it doesn't even give you enough room to bag the components. I have to just toss all the money on the top of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I can't even like the simplest thing is just let me bag it at least and put it in there. It doesn't have room for that.
Yep. A couple of those AEG games are like that, where it's like you just kind of flatten all the coins on top.
Yeah, you can't even sort it in any way.
Yeah, no, I don't like that at all. My number one is thankfully not anything that we've said, and that is player count specific rules. It's not even a pet peeve. I actually do just hate this totally. Games where it's like with 2 players, you don't play with this part of the map.
That's not
worse than
as bad.
That one's not as bad, but like for instance, the King of the Hill game we played.
You don't play this section of the game.
Yeah, in the 3-player game, you take these 2 parts of the game and combine them. And here's all the rules on how to do that.
Yeah.
On 2 players, you play all these other things. And it's like, not to pick on the game because I do like that game, but when you have to dramatically change what you're doing, and I'm not talking 2-player version of the game versus any other player, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But if the game changes for 3 players and 4 players, and then it changes for 5 and 6 players, and then it changes for 7 players and 8 players.
There's Innis actually changes the cards that you play with depending on the player count.
Yeah, if you have to completely switch out decks to play with different people.
Well, not even decks. You just take out cards. And you're not.
I mean, some of those are okay. I guess I'm mostly talking about rules.
Oh, no, I'm talking because it does change the gameplay in general. I don't mind other games where they take out all these cards that are meant for 4+ players.
They're usually marked.
They're usually marked, and they're
marked.
usually just extra copies of the cards, so it's not diluted in a 3-player game, things like that.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm talking like in a 3-player game, add this other board and like do all these cool things.
Right.
Like I don't have specific examples other than King of the Hill right now because it's not really necessary to like pick on a game, which I did, but it's not necessarily to point out all the examples. I just know that there are games that we've played to where it's like in 5 and 6 players do this, in any other game do these things. It's like sometimes weird too, like for even player counts, for odd player counts. Like that's just dumb because like every time you play the game, you almost have to reread that section. I don't know. Just not a big fan of that stuff.
Yeah.
So. No. All right. Well, that is anticlimactic. Anything else? Any other pet peeves you just want to mention just because? Any short list pet peeves? I actually got all mine on here that I could think of, other than the box sizes, which the small box size is the only thing I would have added. That's probably the only short list item I would have added. Matt's checking his notes.
I thought I had one, like a really goofy one.
I had written one before. I took it off, but I do not remember it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got all mine. Yeah, I thought I had one that I left off that was kind of like eh.
Well, I did look at on Board Game Geek. I think in the Dice Tower Guild there was one that talked about pet peeves, and it was like 5 pages of replies. People said a bunch of random stuff. Some people like, I can't stand people who throw away board game expansion boxes. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'd like to just throw them away. That should be a pet peeve. I'd rather expansion to a game just come in a bag. Like it's just, it wouldn't sell well.
No,
but it would be so much better if I could just go to them and purchase like for $10 less.
Yeah.
The game without the box. That's what I like. For instance, Nations, the card game, or the Nations, the actual board game, its expansion comes in this flimsy box because it is like, please throw me away.
Right.
I like that. That's fine with me. I'm totally fine with that. So, well, anyway, anything else?
That's it.
Cool.